From the Fans Talk Podcast family at fanstalkpodcast.com, this is episode 287 of Fans Talk Pro Wrestling and was recorded on Wednesday, October 7th, 2015. My name is Garvin, and with us, as always, is Nick. Say hello, Nick.
The feels, man. I've got the feels.
Yeah, you should. You should have the feels. I have them as well. We both just watched NXT Takeover. Respect, it just went off the air for us. Whenever you listen to this on the podcast feed, hopefully you've had an opportunity to watch too. But of course, we talked about this last episode, FTPW287, that we were going to record on Wednesday for the next episode, just so we could get our quick reactions put together for this pay-per-view. So, or special event, or whatever you want to call NXT Takeover. But on this episode, we're going to recap and react to NXT Takeover Respect. And we watched alongside the Squared Circle of Trust over in the Slack community. So want to send a quick shout out to Sean Walton. I don't think Beanbags was there, but Renee was there.
Beanbags bailed on us for fucking
yeah, wanted to watch the Cubs. I mean, who does that? So quick shout out to them. It was always fun to watch wrestling with our friends. So before we talk about the event, let's talk about how you can support this podcast series so that we can pay the bills, basically, without promoting products that none of us really care about. Stamps.com. For as little as $1 a month, you can help us cover the cost of recording, hosting, and distributing our episodes. And the most important bit is you will keep us motivated to keep coming back. You can head on over to fanstalkpodcast.com right now, click the big green button, and subscribe today. And if you want to join our live chats, up your pledge to $3 a month or more. You want some extra bonus content every month, up your pledge to $5 a month or more. And if you really want to let us know how much we mean to you and how much you care, join Kyle Petrano, who we credit each and every episode. If you read the description, you've seen his name there for like the last 2-3 months. He pledges $15 a month. So if you pledge $15 a month or more, we will basically promote the hell out of you. So thank you so much, everyone who has been joining us over there. But let's get right into it, Nick. NXT Takeover Respect just went off the air. You said it before. You had all the feels. I have all the feels. But let's talk about it. What'd you think about the event? Was this the best NXT Takeover ever?
I don't know, to be honest. It's right up there. Easily one of the best for sure. I'd have to think on it long and hard before I was really comfortable calling it the best, because NXT always puts out a high quality product for these supercards. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if I would go as far as saying it was the best, but man, every match was good. Every match was just about as good as we were expecting. But let's just run down the card right now, result-wise at least. We had Finn Balor and Samoa Joe go over the mechanics. Baron Corbin and Rhino defeated Jason Jordan and Chad Gable to start off the night. That was your semifinals of the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic. That was followed up with Asuka defeating Dana Brooke. Then Apollo Crews defeated Tyler Breeze. The finals of the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic, it was Finn Balor and Samoa Joe versus Baron Corbin and Rhino. And Finn Balor and Samoa Joe won, so they were awarded the official Dusty Rhodes Classic Cup, which is very, very pretty. And then the 30-minute Iron Man match for the NXT Women's Championship, Bayley defeated Sasha Banks 3-2. So, where you want to start? You just want to start with let's just start with the Tag Team Classics. Surprising final two teams. I think, obviously there was a lot of interest in seeing Finn Balor and Samoa Joe advance to the finals. That's where you and Joe went last week with your picks, Nick. But Baron Corbin and Rhino advanced. Was that bad? Was that a bad decision in your mind?
Maybe. I can see a little bit of where they were going with that, namely with Balor getting hurt. Baron and Corbin Corbin and Rhino are just such an imposing team that it really makes you doubt if Balor and Joe could pull out the win there. Jordan and Gable don't necessarily have that same sort of mystique, that sort of gravitas that goes with just being in the ring. They're an incredibly talented team, and I imagine that would present a whole other obstacle, namely with their collegiate wrestling style, the submission game that those two have. I think that could have presented a really compelling story in that match, but I kind of get where they went with this, and it kind of worked. I just think it would have been better with Jordan and Gable.
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of fantasy booking that we did as far as like how this could lead to Finn Balor versus Samoa Joe, and when this all happened, I'm with you before I totally get into this. I'm totally with you that Jason Jordan, Chad Gable, they should have won this in my mind and a lot of people's minds. But the idea of Finn Balor and Samoa Joe winning isn't as bad for me as I originally was going into it. Like yes, you and Joe are right as far as Balor and Samoa Joe advancing, but I really saw them losing because I figured this would advance that fight that we both know is going to happen, But at the same time, for whatever reason, I just had this idea in my mind that if they won, they couldn't do that. They couldn't have that fight. But realistically, it's not like they're going to be defending that cup every week. Mm-hmm. This is just an annual tournament that they're going to be doing. So realistically, they could still start that fight and that feud next week.
Yeah, and honestly, within the storyline, Joe would be stupid not to. Balor's hurt pretty bad.
Yeah, right. And now it's a mutual respect thing. They both did that together. So, who else to main event the next NXT Takeover than two guys that bring the best out of each other. So, there's plenty of different directions that we can go, but I'm all for it. And again, Jason Jordan, Chad Gable getting the nod for them would have been awesome, but it's not the end of the world. So as long as they don't get the Enzo and Cass treatment, which is lose pretty much every big match that they get into.
Yeah.
All right. So Asuka and her debut against Dana Brooks. Your thoughts on this?
Holy crap. This was perfect. Dana outgrew my expectations. She overperformed as to what I was expecting from her. She was managing to keep up, but Asuka. I hate it when people do that, refer to people by their indie names.
Yeah, you douche. You indie douchebag.
Man, Asuka was just on fire in this match. Just the level of psychology and the degree of skill, both just transitioning from striking to submission and back and forth and back and forth. This is a whole other level from anything that we've seen from any of the women before. Like, we've seen Sasha and Bayley and Becky Lynch and Charlotte grow so much over the course of their NXT careers, but Asuka just comes in with such ferocity, such talent, such experience, and wow, it really makes you wonder what kind of matches we're going to see from people that are far and away better than Dana. Like, even just Emma. We haven't seen a whole lot from her lately, but between the heel turn and what we saw from her in her title match against Paige all those months ago, that could be something really special. I really want a submission match between those two.
Yeah, and in the live chat over here, Striker Omega is saying, Asuka and Emma, Asuka and Bayley, there's a lot of great possibilities. And yeah, just seeing where she goes next is going to be really cool. But I mean, let's be honest. Brooke, she handled herself pretty well. I mean, it wasn't a straight squash match like we all predicted. She did get quite a bit of offense in, but just the speed and the ferocity of you know, what Asuka brings was just too much. But yeah, I thought the story that they told in the ring was good for both of them. So
Absolutely.
But yeah, as far as the debut, this was an excellent debut, and it really makes me feel a lot more confident about where the NXT women's division is going. You know, because like I said this last week on FTPW287, you know, I was fearful before of, you know, they were taking Sasha away from us and they were taking, you know, Charlotte and Becky, and that doesn't leave a whole lot. But when you bring in someone like Asuka, that changes the landscape altogether. We are we're going to have a lot of awesome matches coming up. Apollo Crews versus Tyler Breeze. I'm not quite sure how I felt about this match. You know, overall, I like Apollo Crews. I like Tyler Breeze. I'm just kind of disappointed with Tyler. It's but it's not necessarily him, but just the way he's been trending as of late, as far as losing those kind of matches, not looking as lethal and dangerous as he did when he was in the NXT heavyweight championship title race. So, you know, I felt like this was more to push how great Apollo Crews was, and the fact that he you know, pulled out what could potentially be a new finisher, but he ended a match without doing his normal standing moonsault. So what did you think about this match?
I thought it was great. It was definitely Apollo's toughest match to date, and that's good because it can't always be too easy. You've got to have him struggle at least a little bit against some of the better guys.
Right.
I don't necessarily know if that's going to be his new finisher moving forward. I kind of hope it's not. I'm not exactly sure what sort of powerbomb variant you would call that, but it was nice to see him just break that out of nowhere. But you know, it's not as flashy or as definitive as it could be. Definitely not as flashy as a standing moonsault, but I don't know. That move just didn't strike me as impactful, not to the degree that a finisher would be.
Yeah, it's not him. I mean, and this was something else that we talked about last week. You know, as far as once Vince gets his hands on him, he's just going to be this big, strong guy, and that's it. You know, that's the major fear. And while I have such a soft spot for power bombs, I love power bombs in any fashion. I think they're not used enough in wrestling anymore. To see him pick out that move and do it as well as he did, as like flawlessly and effortlessly as he did, I thought that was great. But having him not end the match with the moonsault was kind of disappointing.
I think you're going to be set for more disappointments because it feels like that's a move that they wanted to get away from.
I hope not.
Yeah, it's a staple of his going back years in his career. But like even then, that wasn't all there was to it. I forget the exact sequence, but the moonsault wasn't all. He'd also do a standing 450 splash, back to back with that move.
Wow.
So they may transition to that going down the road, or like you, I do enjoy good powerbomb. I enjoy that Mahabali Shira over in TNA is using the sky high powerbomb, but you know, there are just better variants than the one that Apollo pulled out for this one.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and again, for those who are listening to us for the first time, I mean, by no means are we, you know, upset with what Apollo Crews is bringing. We just don't want to, we don't want him to lose that, you know, that uniqueness and that's our major fear with how WWE normally books guys that have that look, So,
oh God, Stryker, I am right there with you. That impact into the apron, my God, that looked so hard.
Yeah. In the live chat, we're talking about the idea, or not the idea, but the move where I forget what it was. I think it was some kind of throw or just
yeah, I think Breeze just straight up tossed him into the apron, and
but it was right in the side of the
went
apron.
sideways. Exactly.
Yeah, and it like the way he hit shouldn't have made the sound that it made, but it sounded so loud, like he hit the screen on the side of the apron, but it was really like it was just on top. It was just on that edge.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right. Well, really, that leads us to Bayley versus Sasha Banks. It was a 30-minute Iron Man match, again, for the NXT Women's Championship. Bayley wins 3-2. Let's get into the feels. What do you think about this match?
Honestly, all the fears that I had going into this were sufficiently allayed. This was a fantastic match. Like others had said, like Blue from the live chat hooligans. Yeah, it was different psychology, and it totally worked. Throwing Bayley into the screen up on the stage for a count-out fall, that was excellent. And man, Sasha going and taking the headband from Izzy. I haven't seen that sort of heel heat in a long while. Like, damn, Sasha's good.
And she owned it, too. She owned it.
Yeah. The sequence leading up to the end where Bayley just went to a darker place, where she went to Sasha's place and started just destroying her hand. I enjoyed her turning that on Sasha and basically using her own tools against her. And that submission there right at the end, that was brutal.
I was very surprised with 5 seconds left and really 3 seconds left that Sasha tapped out. And you didn't see Sasha tap out just because her arms were behind her. Yeah. I would like to watch that again just to see like how it was communicated with the ref, because I just missed it. I completely missed it. But yeah, so Sasha taps out with maybe 3 seconds left, and that's it. So yeah, overall match was fantastic. This was everything it needed to be. Just there's the overall reaction, Izzy crying at the end of it, just everyone on their feet, and yeah, this was a perfect end to a really good event, and really just to showcase what Bayley and Sasha can do, specifically Bayley, because again with all that fear of the call-ups to the main roster, not sure if Bayley can carry a division, and I think we saw tonight that she totally can.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I thought that she could after Brooklyn, because she went to a place that she hadn't before there, but just the willingness to do whatever it takes to retain that title, and still come out looking like a good guy. Yeah, I'm not scared for Bayley anymore. Like, not even as little as I was going into this match. She's ready.
Right. Yeah, so Bayley versus Asuka, Bayley versus Emma. Those are two matches that we've talked about. It's been talked about in the live chat here on Blab. Yeah, overall, I think, again, there's a lot of great possibilities. Plus, we haven't seen Nia Jax yet. So yeah, I'm totally excited. I'm totally excited for what's to come in the women's division. Plus, of course, there's Eva Marie. So
she's got maybe she'll get up there someday. Maybe.
Oh man. So yeah, again, we're just doing this after NXT Takeover Respect aired. Let's do picks real quick just to talk about who correctly picked this card. Finn Balor and Samoa Joe advanced. which was a pick by you and Joe. We all had Asuka winning. Joe and I had Apollo Crews winning, and we all had Bailey winning. So 1, 2, 3, 4. I think Joe had the most correct picks.
Yeah, I think so.
So Joe with 4, you had 3, and I had 3. So there it goes. So congratulations, Joe. You won a pay-per-view. I think this is your first time this year.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Gotta
so
start making up that.
Man, we flew through this. It's amazing how easy it is to fly through, the results of an event when you just watched it, when the emotions are still running and you're so excited about what happened, and there wasn't a single bad thing that took place.
Mm.
So this definitely made me happy that I stuck around to stick with NXT. I was going through that rut where I wasn't sure what I felt about TNA, and I kind of gave up on WWE in a lot of different ways, but NXT continues to deliver, and it really puts itself into a spot where I would be totally fine spending a majority of our time talking NXT on FTPW.
Absolutely, yeah.
Just saying it. So
I could wax poetic for like half an hour about how great the mechanics are.
Yeah. So we are recording this on Wednesday night, so we don't have a whole lot of WWE talk to go over. We covered Raw on the last episode, which we recorded yesterday. It was released this morning. So I'm not quite sure when we're actually going to release this. I'm hoping to get this out tomorrow, which would be Thursday the 8th. But our next episode is going to be recorded live on Tuesday, October 20th, where we're going to preview Hell in a Cell. You can join us live, and you can find out all that information by heading over to fanstalkpodcast.com. The full schedule is there. We'll most likely continue to stream this over Blab so you guys can see our videos. And then we'll also have those videos available on YouTube as well as the website. But here's the card right now for WWE Hell in a Cell. Again, it's going to be on October 25th. We're going to be recording our preview on FTPW287. And Undertaker versus Brock Lesnar. We got Roman Reigns versus Bray Wyatt. Kane versus Seth Rollins for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. I don't know if it's official yet, but it's pretty much a guarantee that we're going to get New Day versus Dudley Boys for the WWE Tag Team Championships. Yeah,
I'm kind of betting on Owens versus Rusev versus Ryback for the IC title.
Yeah, and that is something that we talked a bit about last week, or on the last episode. That also maybe a Dolph Ziggler, make it a 4-way. There's always that possibility as well. But we've got another week to build it up. Let's just spend about 5 minutes, because we're not going to be able to do a Fans Talk TNA episode before next week. But let's talk about some of the news that has come out about everything that's going on. So after Bound for Glory, which we did cover on Fans Talk TNA, I think 48, episode 48. It's over on fanstalktna.com. But Bound for Glory happened. Matt Hardy won the championship. Ethan Carter III threw an injunction, which basically meant that Matt Hardy could not appear on Impact or take the title back to TNA in some capacity. Like, there was like a court date that they threw out there. Like the first day it could go into court would be December. So Matt Hardy vacated the title because he didn't want to hold TNA hostage, basically, without having a champion for basically 2 months. So, I'm really not into what's going on, but it does bring an interesting idea forward, and that is, and again, taping schedule aside, I'm not really sure. We watched NXT tonight, so at this point, I don't know what happened on Impact. I won't know until I watch, which would be later on, probably this weekend. But a tournament was announced, kind of like a BFG series. Was it a round robin? I forget their language that they used.
They said it's World Cup format. So essentially, in total, there will be 63 matches. And there is sort of a parallel to draw with the BFG series. A win gets you 3 points, a draw gets you 1 point, and a loss nets you 0 points. They announced half the field tonight going into Impact. Obviously, you got EC3. Kenny King's in there, Drew Galloway. Also, Dixie dropped the bombshell that there are different groups going into this tournament.
Right.
And one of the groups will consist of knockouts. So you got knockouts contending for the world title. So after Drew Galloway was announced, you got Gail Kim. You got Mr. Anderson, Crazy Steve, Rockstar Spud, Madison Rain, Austin Aries, Aiden O'Shea, Bram, Awesome Kong, Mahabali Shira, Grado, Brooke, and Lashley.
So one of the questions being asked in the live chat was like, wait, Austin Aries is still in TNA? No, but they taped some matches, back over the last few months that they're going to be using in this. So it is gonna. It's really odd, but at the same time, it's not like they've taped a full show and we know now like everything that's going to be happening. It's like these were all kind of, at least how it's coming off. There's random matches that have taken place that they taped and just never used, going to be using this. So we don't know at this point.
Well, they plotted at least the majority of this out because a tournament this big, you don't just throw together at the last minute. So some of this, at least, they had to lay the groundwork back in June or July, whenever these matches were taped.
I want to believe you for sure. I just find that really, really strange. Like this was the idea that they've had in place for the last 3-4 months. I can't imagine that that's the case.
Think of it this way. Would they be using matches with Bram right now if they hadn't planned for that a long time ago? Like Kenny King and Austin Aries are one thing, but Bram is a felon now. So that would be a hard gap to fill.
I agree, but at the same time, I think they just had the matches just in case. They just taped everything that they had. So your dark matches, basically stuff like this, is probably dark matches like Rockstar Spud or Grado, and they just have it available to use it. I mean, I don't know. I mean,
they probably did bank matches, but I think it was for this purpose.
Yeah, we won't know, but I think overall this is going to be interesting to see how this all plays out. So I'm definitely looking forward to seeing it all unfold. But yeah, so outside of that, the obvious thing is that I think we just need to spend a few minutes on. That is the idea that the knockouts have an opportunity to fight for the TNA World Heavyweight Championship. So this is really weird for a lot of people. It's not necessarily weird for us because we watched Lucha Underground and they allowed the likes of Sexy Star and Eva Lise to compete in matches that would, earn a title shot. So I mean, I'm not necessarily against it. I'm not against the intergender stuff, but it's going to be interesting how it comes off and how well they do it and what the overall reaction is going to be. I mean, because with Lucha Underground, like you almost want to give them a pass because it is more traditional in Mexico to have those intergender matches, to have the women fighting the men for titles. We don't necessarily get that in the U.S. a whole lot, and when we do, it's looked down upon by members of the industry, like a JR, like a Taz. They both have been very adamant that they hate seeing women take on men. So, yeah. What's your thoughts? Not necessarily on the overall reaction, but how do you think this is going to play into it? Do you think that TNA is legitimately thinking about maybe like an Awesome Kong or Gail Kim to win?
To win, I would doubt it, but I think they're going to make the women look excellent here, namely Gail Kim. I don't necessarily know how the groups are constructed. I don't know how many of them would go on to the actual tournament, because Madison Rayne, I don't think she could pull that off. Brooke, I don't know. She's certainly athletic enough, but does she have the moveset? Does she have the psychology? Kong, without a doubt, she knows how to. It's just the state of her body, her health, that I question. Gail Kim definitely makes sense here. And I really wish they'd thrown in Jade, because she's not a stranger to this sort of match.
Well,
and I mean, she's easily the second most talented wrestler on that roster after Gail Kim.
Yeah.
So I think TNA is doing a good thing here. They're essentially throwing things at the wall to see what sticks. But the U.S. audience is slowly coming around to the idea of intergender wrestling. It's blowing up on the indies right now. Lucha Underground is succeeding beyond our wildest dreams with that sort of thing. So, obviously, more and more people are becoming receptive to it. And I think TNA is doing a good job of leaning into that with this.
Well, 16 have been announced.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as I understand, and I think you said it, that was only the first half. There's still another 16, right? That's going to be announced for this. So theoretically, we could get a Jade. We could get other women involved in this. And yeah, because it is like the World Cup style and the knockouts are in their own group, like, yeah, we probably won't see. And again, I am not your football fan that I know how the World Cup works. But I know that you've got like 4 different groups, and then the winner of those groups goes on to the next group, right? Or something like that.
That sounds about right. I think we would have to bring in you to explain this to us. But
yeah. Maybe Sean Walton can help us out there. I don't know. I don't know how it's going to work, but it's going to be interesting. And I would like to see, like a Gail or an Awesome Kong advance. But yeah, I mean, just look at Gail. I mean, how many times does she have to win the Knockouts Championship? This does give her the opportunity of doing something bigger and better. And I like that there is that opportunity. Awesome Kong is someone I think size-wise people can easily see being a believable opponent for a male wrestler as far as the U.S. audience. So, but yeah, I think because we're seeing this a whole lot in the indies for a big time company, and theoretically, I mean, TNA is still your number 2 company. For a big company to be progressive in this way, I think is a really good thing. So, okay. Well, that's I think as much as we need to talk about TNA. Again, we covered Bound for Glory on Fans Talk TNA's latest episode over at fanstalktna.com. We're going to skip doing another episode this week just because we got some schedule conflicts in our way. But maybe next week. Maybe next week we'll have another episode of Fans Talk TNA. For today's episode of FTPW, we're going to skip Win Fail just because we only have like one event to talk about, and we've already talked about how much we liked it. So let's just skip Win Fail. And really, this feels like a super short episode. I had a much longer episode in my mind.
Yeah, I think we could do that once we've had more time to process everything and come at it from a logical standpoint than an emotional one. Like, oh my God, this is awesome. This is awesome. This is awesome. But yeah.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and close up tonight's conversation. Any final thoughts?
We need more Joshi wrestlers. Like, Asuka can't be the only one after this. Bring in Kairi Hojo. She's amazing. Best elbow drop, I think, in the business, including EY.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I think we are thirsty for really competitive women's wrestling, and to see someone like Asuka come over. I mean, this is something that a lot of us haven't experienced in the US, especially with WWE being our biggest source of wrestling. So to see this style, I want to see more. I want to see more competitive women wrestlers, and this is it. I mean, this is a new style that is a game changer for me. So yeah, I don't really have anything else to say as far as final thoughts. Again, we are recording this episode on Wednesday, so basically a week before. So we won't be recording on the normal Tuesday schedule this week, or this upcoming week, rather. Our next episode that we're going to be recording is going to be live on Tuesday, October 20th, where we're going to be previewing WWE Hell in a Cell. You can find out how to join that conversation by heading over to fanstalkpodcast.com. The full schedule is there. And that's it. This series, as well as the rest of the podcasts released through fanstalkpodcast.com, are supported exclusively by our Patreon subscribers. You can subscribe today for as little as $1 a month to receive early access to our content, as well as exclusive content. Man, I am so tired. For Nick, I'm Garvin. Thank you for listening, and we look forward to seeing you again. We will see you in 2 Tuesdays. 2 Tuesdays. Fans Talk Pro Wrestling is part of the Fans Talk Podcast family. It can be found at fanstalkprowrestling.com. Fans Talk Podcast family is a subsidiary of Tigar Creative LLC. We'll see you guys next time. Later.